Hey,
Hello.
everybody. Good evening. Well, we've made it to another Monday night, and it's time to talk about some interesting stuff. We have a guest, and I'm going to show you her book before we get started. But, Dr. Camille, I'm sorry. I'm so rude. Would you like to say hello?
Hello.
So, we get to experience a young lady tonight. And can you imagine her name is Angel? Okay. So that has to mean something. And I'm sure she'll tell us about that. She has a wonderful book. It's called The Healing Soul of a Survivor. And as we've talked about survivors in a number of ways here on the show, this is one that we haven't totally broached that subject yet. And we've always talked about it, but I didn't know God was going to bless us with someone who would be talking about some of the family secret circles and all those things, that happen in our family. So I want to introduce you to, I was going to say Dr. Angel Collier Ruiz. Hey, Angel, how are you?
Hi there. Hi, doctor. How are you guys?
We are fabulous. We are grateful to have you here and to allow us to, as I say, experience you tonight. Let's see, I'm going to try to put myself over here at the bottom because I'm a non factor right now. So, tell us Angel, just tell us just a little bit about you. Let's start there. Um, where were
Okay.
you born? Well, you're going to tell some of that, but go ahead. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I'd be honored. And thank you so much for having me on your show. I love the the love that you give into the world. I love the difference that you make, and it is an honor to have met you virtually on Clubhouse and now here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure.
Again, my name is Angel, and I was born in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania,
Hmm.
and um, I had a very interesting childhood. Um, I was raised in homes a lot. Um, I experienced a lot of trauma. I had a detachment disorder, and it was very different. You know, the book it goes into the details, but you know, experiencing sexual trauma, you know, different traumas, almost any trauma that you can fathom. I've experienced and learned to, you know, fend for myself, care for myself. You know, I was lucky I had a sister that loved me very much and brothers. And my dad had, you know, left when I was young and came back, and um, dealing with that trauma, and then finding out, you know, that I was a child of rape, and you know, just one thing after another. And I think that as a survivor, um, you know, I learned to, you know, scratch and kick and fight my way out, and it gave me a platform, and that I ended up. Creating a nonprofit helping children. We had a 33% increase from welfare to work, in giving back to the community and helping kids like myself that just needed love, and and then worked my way through into a successful sales company and then consulting company, and um, you know, then, you know, to where I am right now. So I'm marrying the man of my dreams. So I'm very lucky that I had faith in God, and I guess I kind of try to cover it all in one shot, but that's just a little bit about me.
Oh, I know. We'll get a little more in depth as we go along. So, what were you healed when you wrote the book?
I was healing. So let me tell you what happened. And I still get emotional, but if I get emotional, it's only because I'm just grateful. Like, I'm grateful for God. I'm grateful for love. I'm grateful for forgiveness. And so if I do get emotional, I pray that it doesn't trigger anyone. It's just because I'm just honored and grateful. So what had happened was is I was having a really difficult time really connecting to my delicateness, and I just was had this toughness about me, and not, I just couldn't calm down, and a lot of anxiety, and no amount of success was enough for me. It was like I couldn't get enough love, but I was looking for it in thinking success was love, or
Mm.
um, you know, sex was love, or and my husband and I were doing healing work to work on this healing, and I had did the healing that I've, somebody told me to, in one of the healing things that I did, they told us to check our DNA, because your
Mhm.
heritage has a lot to do with, sometimes you have stored trauma in your body, and I
Mhm.
didn't want to do it. And then I finally did. And then when I did, I found out that, the man that I always thought that I loved was my dad, wasn't my dad. And so my
Mm.
whole fell apart. And when I called my mom and found out what had happened, I was like, I have got to, oh, and my son. So the real trigger of this was I tried to help keep all of our family stuff inside, and
Mhm.
my son had gotten into trouble, and I told him that, you don't need to let anybody know, this is our business. Don't tell anybody. And he said, Mom, I can shout this from the rooftop. This is
Mhm.
my life. This is my story. And I have a right to share it with anybody. He said,
Mhm.
Mom, I know you want to hide all of the stuff that happened to you, but I don't have to. And I watched how he owned himself. And my kids raised me. I mean, they taught me how to not hide from myself.
Mhm.
And so I decided to do the healing work of going back to the very beginning of my life and recording it. And I was really blessed to have a young lady who witnessed me in recording my life. And we just picked the easiest parts that would give the essence of the story. And I didn't even know if I was going to publish it. I really did the book for me. I did it so I could heal. And what I learned in doing that is just being witnessed and heard. And I know if you see me on Clubhouse, I like to witness people, because when you're witnessed and you are heard, there's a lot more healing than when somebody tells you it's okay or gives you advice.
Mhm.
Just being
Mhm.
witnessed, and it's almost like you get a validation that you've never gotten before,
Okay.
where nobody's telling you you're wrong or someone else is wrong. It just was. We all did the best that we could. Just being heard and
Mhm.
validated was the most healing part. So when I finished it, I had a lot of encouragement, and I sent it to a few people, and they felt like it was really healing for their life,
Mm.
that it really helped them realize that they weren't alone. And they encouraged me to get it published. And I think for me now, it helps me to know that um, your past doesn't equal your future. And when you can own your past, you can write your life any way that you want. You don't have to be ashamed of anything that you've done, or
Right.
um, that has happened to you, or you don't need to hold someone else in a shame. All you do is let go and move
Mhm.
on. It happened. It's over. We're here. We can heal. We can forgive. And we all make mistakes. God loves us, and Jesus said, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Right.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
go and sin no more. Just go and do the best you can. And it freed me. Gloria, it changed my life. Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in therapy and
Mm.
healing, and that book, in releasing it, and just really seeing myself and how strong I
Mm.
really was, and really how God just lifted me in every situation and put the right people in my life. And how you don't have to focus on who's not loving you, focus on who is loving
Mhm.
you.
Mhm.
And not judge people that are hurting, but know that um they're just hurting, and
Mhm.
that we all have a right to let go. And if somebody doesn't, that's their right not to. But I can
Angel,
just
I want to stop you for a minute because you have covered your life already. And it's some stuff that I want to stop at and just and the only reason why is because some of it sounds so familiar to me. And I'm sure it sounds familiar to some of the audience who is listening. Now, one place that we were similar. You said you were looking for love in all the wrong places and looking for this in all the wrong places. And look, what do you think you were looking for? Or since you've been healed, what do you know you were looking for?
I was just looking to be loved and accepted. I was looking to feel like I mattered, and I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't that, that I was worthy, and that I was okay, and that I was, I guess, worthy and enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you're not held, you're not loved or nurtured, or
Mm-hmm.
I can understand now in hindsight maybe why I was treated the way that I was,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's that it's if you're okay, if you are sexually molested as a child, that's how you learn love. And I'm not making excuses, and I accept responsibility for myself. Um, but we repeat cycles until we learn that they're not the right thing, and then we change. So I think that I looked for abusive men because I felt like I wasn't worthy of anything good. I
Mm-hmm.
kept my secrets inside. When I met my husband, I threw up all over him. I said, "Look, here's my life. Here's all the crap I did. And if you write me back after this, we are good."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we're and the things that happen in our young life, in our childhood, it can be any number of things, but it causes us to feel that way. I am a recovering people pleaser, wanting to be loved, like whatever, overachiever, always making the good grades and doing all of that. So I just totally so can sit right there with you and say, I understand, some of that feeling of not being enough. Um, Now, you said one other thing. Well, you said a few things now. Now, many years ago, there was this thing we call mask that we all walked around with. Being these perfect little people with nothing going on in our lives. And when you said that to your son, I'm surprised, but he's of a younger generation because a lot of people in my generation or older were told you keep those secrets, you don't tell anybody. But when I read that he said it's my secret, I mean, so to speak, and I can tell anybody I want to. What did that do to you initially?
It burned. It felt like it burned. It felt like I lost complete control. And it felt good to, sit in that and realize I am trying to control my kids.
Mm,
And I'm not being honest with myself,
mm,
you know, and
mm,
that he did have that right. And it took me a little bit. I remember just sitting, and when my kids talk to me, I try real hard to just listen to them. And
mm,
I just remember saying, okay, Billy, I know you have a right to be you. I need to sit with this because, this is, I don't know why I'm triggered, but I'm really triggered.
mm,
And I sat with it, and I realized, and I just started bawling and bawling in shame. And it was like I had so much shame. And then it was like all these stories started coming up of how much shame I had. And
mm,
then I realized that I was giving that to my kids.
mm.
And I called him back, and I just thanked him. I mean, he really, my oldest son, his name is Eric. We call him Billy, but he really just keeps me on my toes. I mean, he just gives it to me. He does not pull any punches. So
Dr. Camille, you have anything you want to ask her before we move on, or did anything strike you? Because I haven't gotten to the third piece yet. You're muted.
am I muted? Oh no,
No, Dr. Camille was. Yeah, there you go.
I was. I
Yeah.
apologize for that. No, I don't have any questions. I just find listening to Angel, you wouldn't know this, but I'm a PhD in psychology by trade. And in my coaching practice, I have found it important to guide clients back into their childhood, not to lay blame, but to understand the why of behavior. And to me, it's like you have this tree and you have this fruit, and you can trace fruit back to a root. And if you can get to the root, and if you can get the person in front of you honest about, so when your son was talking to you and you felt that trigger, it becomes important to say, okay, how am I feeling? And being able, and you said that you burned, so being able to communicate that. And we're not taught to talk like that. But then after you realize you feel the burn in your case, then the next question becomes, when was the last time you felt like that? And what was going on? And if you continue to follow that path, you can find that instance in childhood, whether it was you interpreted a response from a parent as rejection, the sexual abuse, you will find that root. And it's not so much to go back and point our finger or put our finger in the face of the person who is responsible, so to speak, for our, for that. It's to say, okay, I know when this happens, I get to write a whole new script. So instead of, I may still feel the burn, but I know where the burn comes from, and I can speak to the reality, which is nobody is rejecting me in this moment. Nobody is abusing me. I have deliberately surrounded myself with people that I trust, and I'm passing that on as my legacy rather than my childhood imprint. So I actually have read your book, and I had to put it down a couple of times because very early on I could tell, because of my training, I knew where we were going. And to me, what I'm about to say is funny. It may not be funny to y'all, but your part of your story is the reason why I will not do a DNA test. I've had some issues in my family where some things were revealed, not out of wanting to heal, but one of my siblings' a true identity was revealed out of someone being manipulative during a divorce. And I'm like, I don't want no more surprises. So that's kind of where I am. And as I'm even thinking that this should be funny, I know that it's not, because of the importance that your the healers in your life place on understanding DNA, heritage, all of that. And with us now having Indigenous Day instead of Columbus Day, that whole piece of identity becomes even more important in this conversation. So it was funny when I thought it earlier when I was going back through your book, but right now it doesn't seem so funny. So it's probably going to I'm probably going to have to rethink my position on that. Plus, I'm a very, because of issues of privacy and some of the things that I've heard about the DNA testing, and that keeps me away. But the most part is I don't want to know nothing else that these folks that I call family have done. So, but anyway, that's all I had.
What do you say to that, Angel?
Well, I honor and I witness you, and I appreciate your perspective. I do want to say that when you shared, and I loved how you shared, because going back to starting at the beginning and working my way through till the end of the conversation, when you shared about that feeling of the trigger when you are triggered. It's funny when you had said, what did you think? I told you all these flashes. It was like every flash of every time that I was told to keep quiet, shut up, don't tell, or you're a bad person, or this or that. It just flashed. And that's why I decided to write the book, because I knew that I had to get it out of me. And I do. My dad that raised me, he was in and out of my life, out of my life most of my growing years, and came back when I was a pre-adult. But that will always be my dad. That is my dad. And I always say that blood doesn't make you related. Love does. But I'll tell you that my body knew. I would look in the mirror and try to see why I didn't look like all of the people on my dad's side of the family. I never in an inklage thought that I was not his kid, but I always looked for myself in him.
Wow.
I always looked to see if I was, if I look like my sister Teresa, she looks more like my dad, and Billy and Paul, they look more like my dad, and I look like my mom, but I have these different features. And to me, I am it gives me, and you said look for the why. It gave me the why, because I never understood, and to this day, I never understood why my mom I just didn't understand why I was, why it was this, it was like I was this horrible thing. And it was never I never felt, it was just this, it was like, get her away from me, get her, it's like, you can't imagine feeling that much rejection, and
Yeah.
and now I know why, right? So if I didn't get that, I would have gone on the rest of my life not knowing or understanding or getting that place of feeling that unconditional love, wanting to hold her, wanting to nourish her. And even if she's not capable of receiving that from me, it's in my heart. And I have complete forgiveness. And it was the why that I needed. And you know what? I'm lucky, because some people never get that why,
Yeah.
And I was lucky to get that why. So, yeah.
So, Angel, could a truth be that, and I'm trying to help, I'm thinking of a particular listener right now. Could the truth be that mom didn't reject you, or mom hasn't rejected this person that I'm thinking about, but mom through you was trying to reject her own experience, and that was all she knew? I think that's important. And there was something else that you said. Give me just a second, because I'm getting older and I don't remember as well.
Now let's sit right there for a second, and I think that's worth repeating for someone to really hear that. Go ahead, Angel.
Can I respond to that? And I thank you. Doctor, for bringing that up, because it really transformed my life to realize that it wasn't about me. It was not about me. It had nothing to do with me. It had to do with she stuffed all that inside. She hid that in her for all of these years. And that trauma was stored in her body. And the only way she could get it out was what she didn't know how to deal with it. It was that secret held inside of her, and that injury. Like, if my arm is broken, I can't see or feel anything else. All I got is this injury. And it was like she couldn't tell anybody what that pain was. So for me, it gave me complete, just like, aha. I just wanted to hold her. I mean, I have total unconditional love for her now. I just have total unconditional love for her. It's all that stuff that I stored in my body is now gone, because I realized that it wasn't about me, and that she was hurting, and that she did the best that she could. She did the best
Absolutely.
that she could. She didn't give me away. She did not. She did the best that she could, and I believe that, everyone handles things differently, and trauma. And in those days, they didn't have this, like, they didn't have the support like we have, right?
Yeah.
So you were told, be quiet. You were beat down. So, it's a different world now. So thank you for that. That's beautiful.
Absolutely. In my world, that you better be quiet, I call, in my office, I call it a gag order.
Yeah.
But my question. Oh, I'm sorry. No, go ahead, Dr. Camille. I'm sorry. I didn't realize you weren't finished. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
My goal, my hope, is to help people undo the gag order. See, the thing is, when a gag order is imposed upon us, we don't have to go to court to get it lifted. We have to hold court with ourselves and give ourselves permission, just like your son gave himself permission. But what would this world look like if the gag orders were lifted? for the purposes of healing, not the purposes of blame, but for the purposes of healing.
Mm.
Yeah.
So there, yes.
Conversation. I really love it. And it's almost like you just get to take out the trash and let the trash truck take it and let
Take
it
it
be
off.
gone. Right? You know, that's
Mhm.
beautiful. I mean, it would be a beautiful place. And that's the only reason why I share and I'm willing to talk about it, because when you can talk about it and it doesn't hurt anymore, you know you're healed from it.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
and yes, I believe that this is a beautiful thing that you can do, and you're doing a great thing here to help people air it out and realize that it has nothing to do with blame. It's just being free to air it out and to get it out and know that you are loved and you are accepted and you've done the best that you could, and so did everyone else. And to take out
Mhm.
the trash and hug each other and walk away and be happy, right?
Right.
I have a question about why do the two of you, because y'all are the brilliant people, I just get to ask the questions. Why do you think that we as children take on what I call the sins of our parents? Take on the shame, because it took me a long time to understand that I had no responsibility in what happened or how I got here. And though I had the shame and everything, and then when I realized that's not for me, that's not mine, that's theirs. What am I doing? Why do children take on that, do you think?
Would you like to go first,
They don't
Doctor?
know anything else. Well, I think the simple answer is they don't know anything else. Only doing either what's been modeled or what their own survival mechanism is telling them to do. You know, one of the things that we know in psychology is when you look at kids of divorce,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter if they're 40 when their parents divorce or if they're 4. They seem to think that there was something they could have done or should have done that would have
Mm.
kept their 2 parents together.
Wow.
You know,
Okay.
and if the right conversations are not had with kids during those moments, even the adult kids, you can become manipulative trying to get your parents to even stay together. I know when my sister got married in her mid-20s, you know, she was still trying to put our parents back together, which would have been,
Wow.
you know, the most unhealthy thing, you know, that could have ever happened, even as we were adults when they divorced, you know. And she would say, "Sissy, you need to help me." And I'm like, no. No, I was having my own problems at the time, so I wasn't willing to jump into that. But
Mm.
children only can do what they see.
Mm.
And I mean,
Yeah.
that's the short answer. Angel, I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so for me, as a mother of 4 kids and as a child that learned this behavior, I think that in the studies and the books that I've read, and I'm not a doctor, so I'm only coming from my perception and what I've learned, and then raising my kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I honor your degree, but for me, my what I think happens in the cycles is that studying the brain is that we have wires that go off, and it's like you know, when we become trained, you know, so it's like a trained behavior. This is okay, so this is how you get attention. You've got to act up,
Mm-hmm.
or and so you learn, and it starts to become like a program. And
Mm-hmm.
then what happens is when you start to see that program, and another thing we do, it's about forgiveness. And I think you mentioned something beautiful, Doctor, when you said that the conversations. See, when you constantly air out and you can stay in the moment and you're constantly in forgiveness and you're constantly airing out, you're not carrying as much baggage, right? If you take your trash out every day, then you're not stinking, right? But when you let that build up inside of you, and then you say, I'm never going to be like my parents. So anytime we judge someone, like I said, I never wanted to be like my mom, so I became the opposite, right? And it
Mm-hmm.
was extreme and it wasn't healthy. So until I could forgive her, could I stop the behaviors that were unhealthy for me over here? Right. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like what we judge, what we damns us back. You know, when for me, when Jesus said, forgive them for they know not what they do. I mean, honestly, that forgiveness is for you. They have to work on their own stuff. But when we can that's why Jesus said the sins of the father are passed on to the child until what forgiveness happens. So
Wow.
for me, that is it's repeated because it's all you know, and it becomes a program, and you make habits out of it, and then you start judging or you blame, and when you blame, you repeat, right?
Mm,
So I believe that
mm,
freeing ourselves of blame and forgiveness and forgive allows us to be in the here now, and we have to get all the stuff out, like you had mentioned, heal that child within. First, clean it out. It's like your
mm.
house is on a total, your body is your house. It's on a total reclaim. Go through, clean out all the junk, and then take it and clean it on a daily basis, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Because time is not going to heal. Time does not heal all wounds. Time heals cleansed wounds.
Beautiful.
You just messed
You
up
know,
somebody's fabulous statement. That's what they say. Time heals all wounds.
time does not. And we know from our own cuts and scrapes, the wounds that land us in the emergency room do not start to heal until the doctor has had to go in there and clean it out. And until we clean this out, and it's funny, Angel, that we're talking about this forgiveness piece, because over the weekend I've been writing a couple of pieces on forgiveness and what it is, and taking a look at the ways that scripture has been misappropriated or misunderstood when it comes to forgiveness. It's not all of the work that we make it, because we're so I got to do something driven, and it really is about an inner work. It does not require us to make an announcement to the person that we forgive. It doesn't require reconciliation, because you can be identified in relationship. These are my siblings, whatever, but you don't have to be necessarily in fellowship unless it is safe and appropriate, to do so. And it's not a demand, it's a choice.
Yeah.
In order for me to be free, in order for me, scripture says, in order for our prayers to be heard, in order for us to be forgiven, this is what is required. And it's not that God is saying, because a lot of times when we start talking about the forgiveness piece, we want to give the long laundry list of what they did. Or we want to say, even him, even her, even them. And all God is saying is, give it to me. How about drop the charges against these people so that I can drop the charge against you? Because I went to Calvary for all of it. I sent my son to the cross for all of it. So can you give it back to me so you can be free? And then maybe when you get free, then your assignment will be to go back and free others, maybe. And then just when you think in terms of what unforgiveness does at the biological level, I have heard it said, and I repeat it often, unforgiveness and stress. Cancer loves unforgiveness, stress, and sugar, but mostly unforgiveness.
Yeah, cancer,
so we got to get free.
unforgiveness, stress, and sugar. You didn't have to put the sugar part in there, because I have a problem with sugar.
I had to know the truth and let the truth set you free.
So, Angel, was there anyone who, not completing the book, like I said, and I'm true confession, but it's good and I'm going to finish it. But was there anyone throughout this healing that was there for you or helped you, or what do you think about that? Do we need people to help us to heal?
Excuse me. I think the most beautiful thing that I did as far as going back and writing the book is I was witnessed. But what happened is I got to see angels along the way. I got to see where God intervened and how everything was divinely guided and how everything was exactly the way it needed to be for me to be who I am now. Like I wouldn't change one thing about my life. I don't and another thing too, it's always easy to play the victim, but then we have victims of us too, right?
Yep.
So when we're hurt, we can't think, oh, it's their fault that we're hurt and it's their fault that I'm hurting someone else. we have to, we have to know that the buck stops with us.
Yes.
I'm going to answer that question, but I also
Sure.
wanted to say that it's taken responsibility for us. And I think that it is important to have support, counselors. I believe that, and you have to be careful. I have, you have to be careful. We live in a world that everything is loud, and when you're born, you have two fears: a fear of loud noises and a fear of falling. Right? The fear of falling could be a fear of failing. We misunderstand that, and the other one is fear of loud noises. And everything is so loud out there, screaming at us. Here, do this, and we become students, right? And I think that the best thing that I did was, go into God. I went into myself, asked God, go in and align to Christ consciousness, ask, understand, what Jesus did, and understand that what I did. And then I was able to take off that shell, and the right people, and quiet the screaming, and listen for those soft voices of somebody who really was listening to me,
Wow.
hearing me, right? Not someone who's trying to give me advice, not someone who's trying to tell me what to do, but somebody who is listening to hear me and witnessing me and allowing me to be who I am without telling me who to be, right? Because I think we're all
That's good.
extraordinary, and I think God gives every single one of us a special gift, and it's hard to find it when somebody's telling you what it is.
Well, now you just struck a nerve on someone, because some folks are out there. That's what they prophesy into you. They tell you what God said, even if you haven't heard God say it. And I know I'm going down a bad hole. I apologize. But to hear you say that is really, revealing, because there are so many people who want to tell us what God said.
Right. Yeah. And if I can fix myself on that, because maybe somebody does need that to get to here. I used to have to do affirmations to get to here. And then once I got to here, I'm now looking for something else. Right. And so I think that it is important for somebody to have, when they can't rely on themselves. And thank you so much for sharing that, because there are steps to everything. And just because this is where I am now, it's not always where I was. I was at a place where I did need somebody to say, hey, put your shoes on. Hey, get dressed. You need to get up out of bed. You need to brush your teeth, so thank you. But I think it's to having the discernment in what is right for you. And if that person is coming from a loving place and you know it, or they're coming from a place of maybe wanting something for themselves, right? So I think it's having the discernment for yourself. And I think we all should really have that discernment within ourselves to be aware of caring about people. And I'll share one story that I did, and I learned about how hurtful it can be, and I did it. I had a person, and we were on a healing thing, and I'm used to forcing my way through, right? You're okay. Come on, get up, right? And this girl, and she was really going through a sensitive place, and I wasn't there yet. I still was rough. I wasn't connected to the delicate part of myself. And there's a process for us all, and I honor that in everyone. But this young lady was really hurting, and we were in this healing place, and I was like, come on, you're fine. And she looked me in the eye and she says, no, I am not fine. And that changed my life. I was like, Angel, you are not listening. You are not listening. You are telling her, and she's letting you know. And that really taught me a lot about sitting back and having discernment and getting myself out of my own way and seeing what other people need from me, and instead of just giving them what I think they need. Sometimes we might have to do that, right? So I think it's like a Goldilocks spot, right? But thank you for that, and thank you for allowing me to reiterate that, so that I could be balanced on that. So thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Dr. Camille, anything? I know I could see your brain just going.
Angel, I am. There is such a softness to you that I'm sitting here saying, there's a softness that I want because I've been in your space, even if it's virtually. Would you explain to the audience your I'm going to call them mannerisms. So when one of us asks you a question and you thank us or you honor us with your hand gesture, would you tell the audience about that? And I'm also thinking, I don't have my glasses on because they create a glare, and it looks like you're sitting on the floor, which is one of my favorite places to sit, but I can't get up as gracefully as I used to anymore. So I don't know if that plays into your being comfortable in your own skin. Are you in a chair? Okay.
I like to sit that.
But please speak to the way that you honor and what that means. And because now I feel like tomorrow, everywhere I go, I'm going to be a little more like Angel tomorrow. But yes, would you just explain your body language, I guess would be a better way.
Yeah, I like to sit Indian style. So, with my Indian style, because it helps to anchor my back so that so I can lean in and I can not have to think about my body when I'm listening. And I can be really present there. And I like to listen, and I like that you guys give me a moment to process, because I want to be able to hear without thinking. So when you're sharing with me, I want to hear you without a thought in my mind, and then I listen, and then I wait. I try to ask God how can I come, from a place of love, and then sometimes the information drops in. So that to me is honoring you, honoring your presence, honoring your beauty, honoring your light, and your gift with me. So I just was honoring you, and for me, it is just honoring that everybody is a child of God, and that, to focus on the light in them, and to, stay humble, those that have no sin cast the first stone. For me, I am no better than anyone else. I'm just as flawed. I just try to stay in the moment and clean up on a daily basis what's going on with me, and honor that, we're all beautiful and we all add a special gift to each other's lives, and so I just like witnessing people and appreciating their presence and the value that they give to all the lives that they're around. So I'm just really grateful. You two are beautiful. I feel your love. I feel your energy. I feel your passion for caring about people. I mean, it's sincere. And I'll tell you that I've turned down many interviews to talk about this, because I really want to make sure that it's a place of forgiveness and no blame. And Doctor, and both of you guys have done such a beautiful job of helping this to be a blanket of love instead of pointing fingers, because the healing can only happen when we forgive and let go and forget, and then remember all the good stuff, right? Because there are good stuffs in there to remember, but you can't get to that until you take out the trash. Your counter's underneath there somewhere, but you got to throw out all the trash, wipe it off, and then you can see the counter, right?
Yeah.
We don't go digging through the trash and bringing it back out again, And I wrote it to share it, because I feel like I worked through a lot to get to here, and I'm not done. I still get triggered. I'm still human. I still have to sit and work through the burn when the burns happen. And my kids are good at giving me burns, they know how to let me know where I'm stepping in, and then I step back and I honor them, and I honor them. I honor them that they have a right to be who they are, and they're perfect just the way that they are, and we all are perfect in our journey. We're here to have an experience, but once we take out the trash, the experience is a lot better.
Yeah. And it's funny, Camille, that you said that,
So
because I just wanted to say it comes through even when you can't see her, because I just told her something of that nature last night. I used our old church term of being anointed, but through the conversation last night, there was something controversial that come or something that happened, and you could never really feel any dissension, tension, or anything negative in the whole conversation. And she was just, I mean, it was like you were on a cloud just listening to the process. And there were many people talking, but she was facilitating the room. And so that you said that was funny to me, because I felt the same thing, never having seen her, just hearing her voice and hearing how she honors people. So that's amazing.
I feel the
So,
same way about
Angel,
you.
I'm sorry.
I said I feel the same way about you too. The work that you do is profound, and you're making a difference. And
Thank you.
you know, I'm honored to be a part of that right now. So thank you for letting me be a part of that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. When you were preparing for the initial spiritual journey, one of the things you said you had to do was do the DNA test. There was a specific book that I've looked up and bookmarked that you needed to read, but you also mentioned that you had to eat healthier. Would you take a minute and talk about how if I'm guessing right, I'm guessing that what you did to prepare health-wise, you still carried some of that into life today. And what did it look like then? And what does it look like now? And I imagine you saying something like, at first you thought you had to give up, but instead of using the word give up, you talk in terms of what you get to do now that you are processing life in a more healthy manner. So just speak to the whole health piece.
Thank you for that. And it is, you know, mind, body, and soul, right? Mm-hmm. And so your body is like a house, and drinking water, lots of water, and I bless my water. I thank my water, and you know, I thank it for nourishing my body. But we had to go on a very fruits and vegetables, and really, you know, they taught us to really, you know, bless our food and really thank it. You know, it's living. You know, it's living food. So fruits and vegetables, and now we have greenhouses. So my husband, he loves planting and you know, raising the vegetables ourselves. And I think planting is really good for your soul, you know, because it really teaches you a lot about life and the experiences that we have here, hands in the dirt. So fruits and vegetables, being healthy. Now my husband likes chicken and rice, so he has to have his chicken and rice.
Okay, good.
He's Puerto Rican, yeah, he loves his chicken and rice. So, but I really like fruits and vegetables, and it really feels good to my body. It feels good to the water, drinking lots of water. You know, I just even have my water, blessing my water, blessing your food. You know, I think that blessing your food, it gives you an intention before you eat. You know, that, you know, it really is good for your food. And I always like when we cut our vegetables, we thank them, you know what I mean? We thank them for, you know, when we're taking care of them, and when we cut them, and we just thank them for giving us nourishment. And I just believe that blessing your food is a really beautiful thing. But we do eat like chicken and rice, and I really don't like the chicken and rice that much, but he likes it.
So, Angel, there's one other thing that so before I was a PhD in psychology, and I have to tell you, my area of emphasis as a student was religion and psychology.
Yeah.
So what I have read in your book and what I hear and what I see makes me want to ask, where for your wellness, I was going to say spiritual, but I'm going to say for your overall mind, body, and soul, what practices are you harvesting along with your, there was a word that you said, Christ consciousness. Yes. So I think that was kind of the, let me ask the question. I hear a lot of indigenous, Buddhist, Hindu, Christian. I hear it all in your in your in the way you talk. But I wonder if I'm hearing it deliberately or because you were deliberate about it, or am I just hearing it because I've been this student all of my life?
If you read my book, you know that when at a very young age, my best friend was God, right? So it was just, you got it. If you're there, wake me up at, 2 or 3 in the morning. And I woke up, and then the next day I did. And then I knew he was there. And, and when I had nobody else, I always had God. And there was a point that I lost that connection when I got into the sales company really deep. I love God and I was there, but there was something missing. And then when I started going down this spiritual path, I've studied everything. And I just took pieces that felt good to my soul. So if it felt good to my soul, then I kept it. For me, there's nothing about Christ. To me, that's my go-to. Christ consciousness. I believe in a lot of the phrases, but Christ consciousness to me is everything. Love is the only truth for me, so I go there. As far as things that I do, I tone. I think it's very important to get your energy out of your body. I think that we get, nobody's in this Zen space all the time. We get tension in us. Everybody does. And having ways to physically get it out of your body, move, exercise, plant, run, play with kids. Playing with kids is the most healing thing any human being can do.
Yes.
Yes. Giggle, laugh, duck, deuce, red light, green light. And I'm like, no, I won. Wait a minute. You can win. But yeah, I meditate every morning. I meditate at night, and I meditate sometimes 2-3 times a day. And it's important for me, and it was very, very important for me in the hardest points of my healing. I was really blessed that I have created so much success in my life that I could have the time to do that, but not everybody does. I do think if anybody takes a few minutes in the morning and just prays or meditates or just sits in 5 minutes of silence or does mantras. So I did start with mantras.
Okay.
Mantras, if I can't, then I must. And another one was, if God is for me, who can be against me? I did that over and over again. And then another one was, even though I have this feeling, I still love and accept myself. So I think finding mantras can be really helpful because it helps redirect your brain. It almost rewires your brain. And then after that, you just don't get those thoughts anymore. But I think it takes somebody sometimes being loud. It takes sometimes telling you your shit stinks, right? It takes sometimes somebody being real with you. And then right now I'm just at a real delicate place. I'm finally at the place where I feel really delicate. And it feels really good. Like I feel like the little turtle that could shed his shell, that I can feel that softness and that gentleness, and it feels really good to my soul. So I think that praying, meditating, mantras, self-talk, having a mentor, somebody who you can talk to that can maybe help you there, and be careful. Be careful to have discernment to know that that it's the right person, and go in and ask yourself and God, just where do you feel in your body? I really started noticing where I feel things in my body. Oh, wait a minute, that doesn't feel so good. Wait a minute, is this a trigger? Well, wait a minute, oh, am I not seeing them? Am I judging them? Oh, I need to heal that, right? I don't have a right to judge them, and maybe I don't have to be around them. Maybe this isn't right for me, but I got to heal that judgment within myself, because as I judge, so I be judged, right? So I don't want to be judged. So, and I'm not perfect. So I want to be able to make mistakes and people have grace on me. So
Right,
I have
right.
grace on other people, right?
Absolutely,
We
absolutely.
we
And
all
I think
need.
it was important that you said during the hardest part of your life is when you came into the practice of your meditating and finding these structures that that are your go-to. Because it's when things are hard that we are the most resistant to. A lot of times we can't hear God, we can't see spirit, we can't do it because we're just blinded. But I want to honor you for recognizing that it was during the hard, dark place where, where God and spirit are always waiting for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. Wow. Okay, so where did the time go? I'm not sure. Because we could just sit and talk with you all day, just be girlfriends and talk and hold each other accountable. But I just want to say this to you, Angel. If you have not thought about it, a book titled Mindfulness. And maybe because I need it right now, because I've gone through some things and I'm trying to be intentional about doing one thing at a time. And watching you and listening to you has shown, just mindfulness came in my head, that we have to be mindful and intentional in all that we do. And you are so grateful. The gratitude is just oozing out of your head. It's just
We do the gratitude room. We'll do a plug for Garth.
Yeah. Oh, I have to ask Garth if he'll come do if he'll come do one for us.
I
But
thank you for bringing that up. Can we share it? I'd like to.
sure.
I know, but gratitude is the one that, and thanks for bringing that up, Gloria. And what a beautiful name, both of you guys. It's such an honor. But gratitude. And I'll tell you when it started. And Gloria, you brought this up, and if it's okay, I share. Are you guys
Sure.
okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you. When I graduated, I felt like I wanted to die when I graduated from school, and I was so angry. And my teacher, my mentor, came to me and he said, you're being very ungrateful. We're trying to help you, and you're focusing on all the things or all the people that are not giving you what you want, and you're not realizing all the people that are trying to give it to you. You just need to learn to be grateful. And in that moment on, I realized that, like, gratitude. And as soon as I started being grateful, it was like I went from here and I just went like this throughout my life. It was like a helium balloon, because I was
Wow.
grateful, and it shed grateful, 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 grateful. And then even grateful for the bad stuff, grateful for this happened, grateful for what it taught me, grateful that I'm strong because I was successful, because I learned grit. And if that didn't happen, I wouldn't have this. And gratitude is if they could say one thing that was the most changing, other than, God, first and foremost, is gratitude. So those two things right there. And then being in the here now and taking out all that trash and being willing to go in and do that, healing that child within. Anybody can really be in the present and have a beautiful life if they want to, and they're willing to do the work, because it's not always easy. And I do believe we all need someone to talk to, but choosing the people that are good in that area. Maybe Uncle Sue you can talk to him about this, and it's having the discernment to who to talk to about what that is going to lift you, and then lift other people. Don't just get yourself in a place that you're not reaching back and helping others. I always say, I live thee, thee live me, and together we rise. We have to lift each other. Surround yourself with 5-10 good people, yes, but also be lifting 5-10 good people too.
Yes.
You know,
The old folks say we are blessed to be a blessing. And so we have to be that blessing. Everyone, we have been talking or experiencing, I'll say that's what I said, experiencing Angel Collier Ruiz. And she has there may be more than one book. The one we're talking about tonight is The Healing. Say that again. I just turned my thing on. Y'all know I'm wrong. Okay, I'm sorry. That was a technical issue. I am so sorry. The Healing Soul of a Survivor. a journey into forgiving my family cycles. And we didn't go trudging all the way deep, deep, deep and talking about each specific incident or thing that happened to her. But you can see where there has been healing. And our stories don't have to be exactly alike, but they all require healing. And Angel, I honor you. And would you please tell everyone what's coming up with you, where they can see you? And I'll share, Facebook and some of those things on the page. But is anything coming up exciting you want us to know about?
No, I'm really right now in a gestation period, Gloria, and I feel like a caterpillar that's in the cocoon stage, and I'm about ready to step out. I am working on my second book, and it is aligning to the life that you love. I like the mindfulness, so Gloria, I'll put a plug in for you for that one. Align to your knowing and align to who God made you to be, or what your gifts are, and you can get that by looking through your life and what feels good to you. It's just living in that moment and dancing in that presence. There, I was honored to do this with you because you are such a beautiful soul, and then I get to meet your other beautiful souls. So, but right now I'm just waiting for the information to come through. My life has been guided ever since I just decided that I was surrendering my life to my purpose. We have free will. We can choose to do it ourselves or have guidance, and I choose the guidance.
Okay.
So whatever comes from here, it's going to be just the way it's supposed to be. But I'm going to finish my second book, and I'm just honored to be here and be of service in any way that I can for either of you. And thank you so much for letting me be a part of this with you. Your love is, I feel it. It's real.
Thank you. Well, I'm not out of your pocket. I'm not out of your pocket. So I'll be around you even more. Dr. Camille,
you're never going to get rid of me.
You have any closing words that you would like to give? And you want to do our closing prayer too? And
I would like for Angel to close us out.
Okay.
Yes.
Everyone, and if the two of you will stay on after we go off just for a second, but Angel, if you would do us the honor of closing us out in prayer and praying for our audience, and that we just move in this space in a graceful and positive and grateful manner.
Yes, I would be so honored.
Thank you.
Dear Heavenly Father, Source, Creator, God, I just thank you for this beautiful time that we could be present with you and that you could guide us. And thank you for being with me and us in this time. I pray that anybody who witnesses this, life's filled with healing. Help us to unpack, help us to let go, help us to air out and take out the trash. I know who you are in truth. I know what you are in truth. I know how you serve in truth. We are free. We are in the upper room with you, God, where all things are made anew. We have come, we are known, and we are loved. All things through Christ who strengthens us. Amen.
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 Thank you so much. And audience, thank you so much for being here. It has been a pleasure for me. I know y'all liked it. I know, because I know what y'all like sometime, right? Okay. But I want to thank you, and we will see you next week. And I'm not sure what we're going to talk about yet, but I'm going to pick Dr. Camille's brain, and we're going to come up with something good that, she wants to talk about. So I hope everybody has a good night. Take care of yourself. Keep your peace, please, and be safe out there. We love you, and we'll see you next week. Mwah.
Guys, thank you, guys. Love you.
Yes.
Nice to meet you, Dr. Camille.